Before we get started, I'd like to take the time and thank every one of you for helping me get to 700 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet and you like movies, comics, TV shows, and video games, consider subscribing and helping me get to 1K. Also, I have a podcast with my good friend Unity Review and Analysis called Another Review's Core Podcast, where we talk about what's trending in the movie, TV, game world. All the links will be in the description down below, and please subscribe. Thank you. Now back to the video. What's up YouTube, this is Red Devilosa from Red Devilosa Reviews. I wanted to treat this anniversary video differently than others on my channel. This is a unique situation where one of the stars has two completely different yet iconic roles over the last 2 decades, and I could not pass up that chance. As I mentioned in my podcast breakdown of the Mean Girls adaptations, link in the description, I've got nothing but positives to say about Rachel McAdams. The characters of Regina George and Allie Hamilton gracing the screens just within 20 days and having their cultural impacts is quite telling. I know a few and have seen others mention that they didn't even realize the same actress played both characters. These roles also helped launch her career further with varying subjects. Mean Girls was written by Tina Fey and was inspired by a self-help book, Queen Bees and Wannabes, by Rosalind Wiseman, as well as Tina's high school and SNL experiences. We still quote the film to this day.
On Wednesdays, we wear pink.
On October 3rd, he asked me what day it was.
It's October 3rd.
Get in, loser. We're going shopping.
Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
I can't go out. I'm sick.
Boo, you whore.
They were real that day I wore a vest.
Because that vest was disgusting.
You can't sit with us!
I wish that I could bake a cake made out of rainbows and smiles and we'd all eat it, be happy.
She doesn't even go here!
The film stars Lindsay Lohan as Katie Heron, a girl who was formerly homeschooled in Africa until her world changed when she was sent to public school in America. Some aspects of the film have not aged well, and some things that shouldn't have been there in the first place. But Katie learns about social cliques in the high school setting, leading her into the vicinity of the plastics. Katie learns about how we can get caught up in what we think we should be instead of trying to figure out what we actually want to do with our lives. We see how conforming to standards can affect everyone. What makes this film interesting is that it does a great job of not trying to frame one particular person as the morally righteous one and the rest as villains. It goes at the root of these problems, which I guess is that Joker meme with societal expectations for girls and women. A creative standpoint with Katie's experiences from Africa versus the girl world is how she feels like there is a power dynamic like a jungle. The film can have her thoughts told through voiceovers as well as seeing her imagination make it come to a full circle when the burn book drama happens. The film has multiple examples of circling back to previous beats throughout, which makes the rewatches satisfying when it comes full circle. Katie's shift in behavior is also subtle, which is all credit to Lindsay being able to go from the sweet and innocent girl to a mean girl.
I know it may look like I'd become a bitch, but that's only because I was acting like a bitch.
She was first penned to play Regina, but it was changed due to Lohan's previous reputation as the nice girl. Interestingly, the film got her to explore, even just a little bit, what she would be like if she was Regina. The part where she is caught in a three-way phone call from the start with Regina and ends up doing the same to Regina later in the movie shows that growth where she's becoming more like Regina even if she doesn't notice. Which brings us to the Queen Bee herself. There's a reason why Regina is so iconic that she ends up taking center stage for future iterations of the story. Although I think that is a detriment in general since Katie is also a good character and she is the lead of the story. But that's a conversation for another time. Regina can turn up the charm to boss everyone around, to ruin someone's life, and she can argue anyone down. But even after all that and the things that make her who she is starting to dissipate, you can still get those moments of vulnerability that you feel sorry for her at times.
These sweatpants are all that fits me right now.
Gretchen's role as the nosy one that needs to be in the loop with Regina as her sidekick to how she gets to a breaking point in English class is my favorite part.
And when did it become okay for one person to be the boss of everybody, huh? Because that's not what Rome is about. We should totally just stab Caesar!
Lizzie Chabert does a great job showing that anger to emotional wreck. Karen doesn't have as much to say with the dumb blonde trope and serves as a comedic relief, but she does play a part in the social clique as someone who is more of a pleaser and not so much for what she thinks. Janice and Damien on the other side of the group help Katie understand what is going on in the school and how Regina takes advantage of others. Katie had to learn that the hard way at the Halloween party when she kissed Aaron. Janice, being a victim of a rumor that wasn't true but damaging for people to think otherwise, is something, but this obsession to break Regina and the plastics down with the help of the new girl and her desire for revenge for mistreatment puts that perspective that anyone can be mean. Janice ties it back to Katie after the vomit party.
It's not my fault you're like in love with me or something. What?
Oh no, she did not.
See, that is the thing with you plastics. You think that everybody is in love with you when actually everybody hates you. So why are you still messing with Regina, Katie? I'll tell you why, because you are a mean girl. You're a bitch.
With the burn book, Mrs. Norbury's therapy session, Katie admits she wrote the lie about her teacher pushing drugs to her being grounded and competing in the mathletes to make it up.
Well, you didn't write that whole book yourself. Did you tell Mr. Duvall who else did it?
No, because I'm trying this new thing where I don't talk about people behind their backs.
That's right. Getting hit by a bus is pretty good punishment.
94.
Welcome back, nerd.
It all leads to the last encounter where she instinctively starts insulting the competitor's appearance in her head. The sort of dynamic shows her realizing that these comments won't change the outcome and that she'd still lose the competition regardless of her thoughts.
Calling somebody else fat won't make you any skinnier. Calling someone stupid doesn't make you any smarter. And ruining Regina George's life definitely didn't make me any happier. All you can do in life is try to solve the problem in front of you.
Katie being able to figure out the problem, both mathematically and figuratively, with her own life, makes the arc satisfying in the end. My favorite aspect of the film as a whole is how Katie breaks the tiara, almost like the idea of breaking the cycle of expectations so that she and the plastics can be free. Katie continues to be a mathlete, Regina goes to play lacrosse, Gretchen joins another friend group where she can continue gossiping, and Karen becomes a weather girl. They're happy and have respect for each other even after everything that's happened. It's a great way to cap off the emotional maturity, but also showing a new generation of plastics helps to highlight that the cliques don't just disappear just because of some speech. Unless you get hit by a bus.
Just kidding.
Also, the Mean Girls Black Friday commercials they did a few months ago was pretty, well, fetch. Like, it was honestly pretty good for how much they were able to put details into things like how the characters would be like when they're much older. It just makes perfect sense for Gretchen to be like Amy Poehler's character, Regina's mom, for her daughter, and being heavily involved in making sure that she's the cool one. It also makes sense for Katie to be the guidance counselor. And honestly, I can't believe they got Amanda Seyfried for a Walmart ad. They even got Damien and Kevin G as well, which is nice. And they even have like a little detail, like Damien is in a relationship with Anthony, which was the name of Mr. Duvall's nephew back in the original film, so that's a really cool piece of detail. And honestly, while it was a shame that Rachel McAdams didn't return, apparently she didn't know that the rest of the cast was doing the ads, which honestly Walmart should have pushed further to make sure that was well known. In the end, it does make sense, as Regina probably wouldn't do ads for Walmart, as we all know.
Here she does car commercials in Japan.
But yeah, they should definitely do a Mean Mom sequel film that all the cast wants to do. I think there's a lot of potential for that.
Gruel. I meant to say cool and then I started to say great.
Gruel.
Huh? What's gruel?
Oh, it's nothing.
This leads us to the second film. The Notebook is based on a book of the same name written by Nicholas Sparks. The film starts with the perspective of an old man named Duke, played by the late James Garner, telling a story from a notebook to an old lady, played by Gina Rowlands, about a young couple back in the 1940s, played by Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams. The story alternates back and forth between these two timelines. There are aspects of the relationship that did not age well, such as Noah, while joking about it, considering to hurt himself for Allie to go on a date with him, is still not an appropriate thing to do. I will say that Allie does have agency in the matter, as she did show an adamance of saying no on multiple occasions, as well as pantsing Noah, and even rejecting Noah after the forced agreement on the Ferris wheel. While it uses the hard-to-get trope, there is a level of respect from Allie to stay true to herself so Noah wouldn't hurt himself, and not to reward Noah with a date so he wouldn't hurt himself. Eventually, Noah and Allie do get to go on a date with the help of their friends. After a brisk walk, talking about hobbies, lying on the ground, almost getting hit by a car, and dancing in the middle of the street, there is a genuine connection between the characters. You can feel that sincerity during the film.
No, I can't! Get in the water! Get in! I'm sorry. Get in the water, baby. Baby, would you get in?
Then there are examples during this relationship that can get pretty toxic with the hitting and yelling that leads to kissing. The film, focusing on the young couple, gives the sense that it condones this sort of relationship. Obviously, it's important to separate the relationship drama that occurs in a movie compared to real life. Noah and Allie have that case where he's a poor guy and she's a rich girl, and her parents are putting up with him because they expect this relationship to just be a summer thing until it's time for them to go back home. The two of them would break it off after Noah hears how unwanted he is and realizes Allie is too good for someone like him, but it's clear that they regretted this decision immediately. Noah would write letters to Allie every day for the next year, but Allie's mother would hide them from Allie. Eventually, he would get a job, enlist in the war, see his friend die, and go home. His dad would die, and he would fulfill the promise he made to Allie 7 years before by restoring the Windsor plantation in hopes that if he does that, Allie would return to him. This is that physical representation of the longing phase in a romantic film where there is a wedge in the relationship that has to be overcome. This occurs because on Allie's side, she finds a new relationship with Captain Lon, played by James Marsden, and just like any other kind of story, he plays the very nice guy who just can't get the girl. Considering what Allie does to him, he's better off. It leads to Allie coming back to Noah when she sees that he managed to keep his promise by restoring the house. This got her to think about how she used to love painting and how she didn't manage to keep that over the years. This also leads to the boat scene with the ducks being a representation of their relationship.
What are they all doing here?
I don't know. They're supposed to migrate to Guatemala Sound.
They won't stay here?
No. They'll go back where they came from.
This leads to the rain scene, the revelation that Noah did write 365 letters to Allie, the award-winning kiss, and the part I alluded to earlier, the cheating. But yeah, Lon is cool with it and all, and letting Allie go back to Noah despite it hurting him. Along with Lon, another one of my favorite aspects of the film is the way that the film handles the adult characters. Usually in a teen romance film, the adults tend to antagonize the relationship. While there are elements of this, the film subverts this at the same time. While Allie's father has a comical mustache that looks like it needs to be twirled in an evil manner, he wants the best for his daughter, but he doesn't want to stop her from having memorable experiences. Her mom's wariness and overprotectiveness stems from being in her own doomed relationship in her youth that had to end due to the social class disparity, like how Noah and Allie faced. And Noah's dad is like the coolest dad ever.
Allison, glad to meet you.
Allie.
Allie?
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Kelly.
Well, Mr. Kelly, what am I, old or something? You call me Frank. Say, how would you like some breakfast? Would you like some breakfast?
Breakfast?
Yeah.
Dad, it's 10 o'clock.
What's that got to do with it? You can have pancakes any damn time of night you want. Come on, you want some breakfast?
Sure.
Wait a second. You sell the house, where are you gonna live?
With you, dummy. What do you think? Somebody's got to help you fix it up.
As I mentioned before, this film intercuts with Duke explaining the story to an old woman. It turns out that Duke is Noah, and he is explaining this story in a similar way as The Princess Bride to an older Allie as she is dealing with dementia. We learn that she was the one who wrote the notebook that old Noah reads to help remind her of their romance and life together so that he could help her come back to him, which he reads almost daily. It makes sense that the marketing focuses on Ryan's and Rachel's versions of the characters for the poster, but I think when it comes to what makes the notebook successful is both the immature, rocky, yet blossoming nature of Noah and Allie in the 40s to the mature and grounded love from old Noah and Allie is what makes the story successful. Seeing the beginning stages and the ending stages of the relationship puts a perspective on how deep this love went. We got to see through bits and pieces that they had kids, and Noah looked at old memory books after the heartbreaking moments when Allie's dementia returned and that she couldn't remember him again, which caused him to break down himself. Old Noah and Allie gives a reminder to preserve that positive aspect of love. Old Noah could have tried and adjust to Allie's dealing with dementia, but there's something sweet about him refusing to leave her behind.
Look, guys. That's my sweetheart in there. I'm not leaving her. This is my home now. Your mother is my home.
This remains true up until the end after Noah recovers from his heart attack to see Allie, who does remember him this time. They lie in the bed together and they both die peacefully in their sleep. It goes back to Noah's first line in the film.
I am no one special, just a common man with common thoughts. I've led a common life. There are no monuments dedicated to me, and my name will soon be forgotten. I've loved another with all my heart and soul, and for me, that has always been enough.
It gives that sense that the important thing is to make connections with others, even if everything seems simple. That can just be enough. Let me know what you think about Mean Girls and The Notebook in the comments down below. Thank you for all the subscriptions lately. I really appreciate your helping me get to 1K subs. Please consider doing so for those that haven't if you like reviews and opinions on movies, comics, TV shows, and video games. Also, my podcast, Another Review Score podcast with Unity Review and Analysis, is another great way to hear more of my thoughts in an unscripted manner. Link in the description down below. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Peace.